Hi guys, this is Hiro. How's everyone doing today? So today I'm going to be discussing the transit of Sun and Venus going into the sign of Libra. Okay, as you guys probably know, there's a very intense Mercury retrograde happening. So this, in a sense, is almost going to be like a part 2 of that. Why do I say this? Because it's going to be just as equally unpleasant, most likely, in general, for the average person. Okay, because this is also very, very strong because Venus represents our enjoyment and it's combust Sun the whole way. It's with Ketu and it's getting aspected by Saturn. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. So this transit is occurring from mid-October to mid-November. Okay, both the Sun and Venus both enter Libra at about the same time, mid-October, and they both exit at the same time in mid-November. And both of them, the whole way, are pretty neck and neck together. Okay? This means they're very close, which means Venus is going to feel the effects of the Sun a lot. What does this mean? It's going to be combust Sun, and it's going to be combust or conjunct a debilitated Sun. So it's going to add to this flavor. And Ketu's kind of right in the middle-ish of Libra, middle end of Libra. So you're kind of going to feel its effects the most throughout the middle of this transit, but you'll feel it a decent amount throughout the whole thing because it's not too far away, these planets, from Ketu, except at the very beginning. And you're getting a 10th aspect from Saturn, okay, which will in general mostly increase as this transit goes on. Okay, so first things first, Venus, right? So Venus is ruled by Libra. So naturally, let's start painting the picture here, okay? So Libra is the planet of what? Interactions with other people, you can say, okay? So Venus, it owns Libra, right? Why? Because Venus is a natural planet that represents enjoyment. Its main sign, the place where it wants to be, is Libra. It wants to enjoy with other people. Now, let me add Sun's effect here. So Sun gets debilitated here. And it's also naturally hot. Why is it naturally hot? Why is it that anytime a planet is close to Sun, it gets combust from an astrological standpoint? Is because Sun represents the ego or the identity, okay? So anytime something gets too close to the identity, its effects are lessened, right? Why? Because the identity, the ego, it can never be happy, okay? So this is kind of why, in a sense. Now, the Sun also gets debilitated in Libra because the identity does not want to focus, or does not want to be dependent, I should say, on other people. So you have the identity, which is dependent, which is naturally representing the ego, and now it's in its worst spot spiritually, where it's completely dependent on other people. And then you have the planet of enjoyment right here with it. Okay, what does this mean? This means that you are going to try to find enjoyment from other people, which is great, which ideally should make you happy, but your ego is going to get overly involved way too much. Okay, now we do have a couple of aspects that kind of help this out. Ketu and Saturn in this situation, for those of us who are spiritually a little bit elevated, can help this situation out. Why? Because Ketu allows us to detach a little bit here, although it can also make us a little bit headless and not think twice about making certain decisions, which I'm going to cover in a second. And we have Saturn's 10th aspect from Capricorn onto Libra as well, okay? What does this mean? This means the good side of this could mean what? That when it comes to Libra things, we can be a little bit more detached, and B, we're only doing these things if they are within the extent of our karma, which is great because it'll help keep the ego, which is the Sun, at bay here, okay? But it could also go very, very south. What do I mean by this? Ketu is like a headless planet, so it could cause you to give more into immediately what the ego wants. And Saturn could increase the frustrations, which could increase you giving into what the ego wants. So it all depends kind of on how you are spiritually here, okay? If you take the spiritual route, you could represent, hey, I'm looking for enjoyment here, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But my ego is getting way, way, way too overly involved here. But, I have Ketu here and I have Saturn here. So let me just be a little bit detached from enjoyment in general. Let me be a little bit detached from what the ego especially wants. And let me, 3, only do my enjoyment with people that I have some sort of, that I recognize I have some sort of karmic relations with, and also monitor my level of enjoyment and not get too out of hand. Okay. And if you don't do this, the other extreme is, okay, I'm completely listening to what the ego wants and it's going to cause disaster. I'm getting way too frustrated easily, which is kind of snowballing this effect of me listening to my ego. And because Sun and Venus are together, I'm constantly looking for enjoyment here. And because the Sun is not going to be satisfied at all, I'm going to be constantly trying to fulfill, I guess you can say, like a bottomless cup here. And you can just continue on this endless, pointless pursuit that is going to lead to nothing besides mental and spiritual disaster. Okay. And you could find some short-term enjoyment with the second route of not being too spiritual, but it's not gonna lead you any sort of long-term happiness, especially on the inside mentally. Okay. So I strongly encourage you guys to just listen to this. Okay. It's not bad to want to find enjoyment here. That's fine. But you have to remember, you are not your thoughts and you are not your emotions. Okay. Keep your ego and your identity. Observe it from a distance. Use that detachment energy from Ketu to keep your enjoyment overall at a distance. And use those strong karmic energies from Ketu and Saturn to be aware of, okay, when it comes to other people, who do I necessarily want to enjoy with or interact with, but who do I have karma with to interact with and enjoy with, and try to focus on just those, okay? Because what our karma has in store for us and what our ego wants, 2 completely different things. And if we do not recognize the difference, that can end in a disaster. So that's also a spiritual challenge here, to be able to recognize it too. It's going to be a huge test for you, okay? If you're able to recognize your karmas with people and who you have karmas with, you should be fine, okay? Because, yeah, sure, the ego voice in your head will get a little bit stronger, but your ability to identify and be aware of your karmas will also get a little bit stronger. And in the process, you can also be able to detach from the ego a lot during this time, because it's going to be very, very, very strong, especially because Rahu happens to aspect Leo as well. So it's going to be strong. Okay. It's really going to be like, okay, your karmic and awareness energy is going to be real, real high, and your ego energies are going to be real, real high. Okay. So it's like, it's 2 very strong opponents battling each other. I'd strongly encourage you guys to fuel only the good opponent here, and don't try to fuel the bad one as much. Okay. Or else, and this is only a month, so I really encourage you guys to stay strong here and don't do anything crazy. Okay. Don't and don't try to pretend like this transit is not happening, because it's really short. And some of these transits, the lessons you can learn from them are sometimes very unique and might not occur the same way exactly again later. So strongly encourage you to take this seriously, especially since it's so strong and so short. But yeah, I think that's it. So if you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you very, very much for watching.